Hello,
Hey,
Minecraft
everybody.
family. We are so excited to be with you today, and I cannot tell you, we have a special treat for you. I am Felisa Ford, and I have with me.
Natasha Rachel, so excited to be here with all of you today and alongside my I will say my partner in crime, Felisa. Super excited to be here with you all today.
And we have something special to share with you today, Minecraft family. I don't know if you've heard or not, but there is a new federal holiday in the United States just recently got announced, and this lesson that we're about to share with you is so timely. It's all about Juneteenth, and it is coming up this weekend, and Natasha and I are here to share a little bit about these new lessons that we've created for Minecraft. And we have a build challenge that goes along with it. So we're going to go ahead and start sharing what we've created with you. Cannot wait. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you have a great Juneteenth weekend full of celebration.
Celebrations, yes. Good food, gathering, community, a day
All
of
of that.
service,
A
all of
day
it.
of service, empowering the community, just so many great things that are going on with Juneteenth. And so I am going to actually share let's see, I want to share our PowerPoint with you. Let's see if we can go ahead and get it to rolling. Uh,
I have mine up, Felisa, if you want me to grab mine.
okay, that may be best because I'm kind of working slow over here.
All right. I'm gonna share that. There we go. Oh, you pop back up. There we go. And I'm going to put it in present mode here. There we go. All right. Can you see that, Felisa?
I can hold on okay. I see. Okay, yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So, like Felisa said, we are going to share with you some amazing lessons that we've created for you and your students all about Juneteenth. We have a K-5 lesson and then a 6 through 12 lesson, and we are just so excited to bring this content to you to in turn bring it to your students.
So once again, I'm Felisa Ford. I am a global Minecraft mentor, and I'm also an MIE expert from Atlanta, Georgia. So excited to be with you today.
Absolutely. And like I said earlier, I'm Natasha Rachel, also a Minecraft Global Mentor, say that 3 times fast, and an MIEE expert. So we're just excited to bring this content to you.
So
So,
we've
oh, go
created
ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
we created, you see how excited we are. We created 2 Juneteenth lessons for you and a build challenge. We have an elementary lesson and a high school lesson. And I know many of you may be wondering, what is Juneteenth? You may have heard of some conversation about it in recent days, but Juneteenth is really just a celebration of June 19th. It's officially known as Juneteenth. Some people call it Freedom Day, I think, Emancipation Day,
Hmm.
Jubilee Day, so many different names, but it is really the recognition and the commemoration of the emancipation of the freeing of slaves, enslaved people in the United States. And I know some of you are wondering, June 19th, didn't we have the Emancipation Proclamation? You're absolutely right. The Emancipation Proclamation occurred 2 years before Juneteenth, but it was 2 years later that the enslaved people of Texas found out that, in Galveston specifically, found
Galveston,
out that
Texas.
they
Yeah.
were Galveston, Texas, right, Natasha? They found out that they had been freed for over 2 years. And as a result of this, this is why we celebrate Juneteenth. This is another day of independence in the United States. And I know for our students, social studies lovers, you may or may not have known about that, but this is another day of independence for us in the United States.
Absolutely. So just imagine people were technically, right, because Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation 2 years prior. Just imagine they had been freed in the eyes of the United States for 2 years before they got word. So
Absolutely.
that is why we celebrate and commemorate Juneteenth. And
Absolutely.
as Felisa said, it's got several other names. You may hear Juneteenth, Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Emancipation Day, Liberation Day, all of it just commemorates that day that happened. And the reason why we celebrate is that it commemorates the official, if you will, end of slavery or enslaved people in the United States.
Absolutely. And this is so important. We know that this is a part of a lot of the social studies curriculum and social studies standards in the United States. We talk about the Civil War, we talk about Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation. So all of this is a part of that history. And this is a way for us to celebrate our history, to acknowledge our history, and just to have representation in Minecraft. I truly thank the Minecraft team for their willingness and being able to put forth these types of lessons for our students. And Natasha and I are so excited that we were able to do this, and it's so timely.
Yeah, I
So
shared with
timely.
Felisa a couple of days ago that growing up for me in school, I was never taught about Juneteenth at all. And so it took me to become, in college and a grown person to understand the importance of this day, because this was not taught in my history books. This was not, we didn't have computers back then, but well, we did, but not what we have now. But we did not have resources readily available in our school library or, on the internet that didn't exist back then to go and do this research. So again, kudos to Minecraft and Microsoft.
Absolutely. And so with these lessons, we wanted to help students and teachers to help students make these connections to what is going on in their communities. So we have these images of how Juneteenth is celebrated today. And these pictures that you see festivals in the park, you see parades, a lot of things, activism taking place in the park. All of that occurs with Juneteenth. You often will have speakers, you have people. It's all about empowering our community, and that's what we do in Juneteenth. But one thing about this really stems from the first Juneteenth celebrations, Natasha, when the newly freed and the newly freed people, when they got together on June 19th, the first thing they were doing was they were celebrating their freedom, but they were also trying to find lost family members. They were trying to connect with family members who had been separated during slavery. And so, as I was telling some of our other colleagues, that this is why family reunions are such a huge deal in the African American community. We have family reunions in the summertime where we connect with family members that we haven't seen in a long time, or even realize that we have family members that we may not have even known about, but we can locate those family members, connect, and celebrate. And we do all of this in the name of family reunions. And Juneteenth was really our first taste at family reunions. And we still have the barbecues and the cookouts like they did back in 1800s commemorating Juneteenth.
Absolutely. So we are going to walk you through today 2 of the lessons that we created. So just to reiterate again, we have created a K-5 lesson, a 6 through 12 lesson, and then a build challenge for you to all in Minecraft for you to expose your students to and make sure that they are a part of the knowledge that goes along with Juneteenth. So you can access these lessons at education.minecraft.net. They are there for you. They're readily available. They're there now, so you and your students can go in and check those out. And also, I just want to preface and say, you as the teacher do not have to be the expert in Minecraft. I am not. Felisa's a little bit more advanced than me, but I'm constantly learning from my son, who I consider to be an expert. So the lessons are here. They're filled with tons of resources to make sure you feel empowered to bring this content to your students and to engage in those conversations, which might be uncomfortable for some people. And the other thing, too, is don't feel that because you don't teach African American students, or maybe you're not African American yourself, that this is not important content to teach, or that you would not be able to teach it because you're not African American. We've given you so many resources to make sure, like I said, that you feel safe and empowered and comfortable bringing this content to your students.
And this is our history, and that's what we want people to know and feel comfortable with. This is the history of the United States. This occurred, and so we want to empower teachers to be able to share these types of lessons, and that's why we're here. There are 2 ways that you can get to these lessons. If you haven't been on the Minecraft site, recently. It has changed. So if you don't have all of the tabs, but if you scroll to, I think, teacher work or teacher resources, it is there. Just look under lessons, or you can get to it in the in-game mode by going to the library, and we've tried to let you see it here. You can go to the bound worlds, especially for the K-5 lesson. There are really two worlds that you can use for the K-5 lesson. You can either use the Blocks of Grass world or the Starter Town, which is great for the K-5 lesson. And Natasha, what worlds are you using for the 612 lesson?
So for the 612 lesson, they're either going to go into Blocks of Grass or the Museum World.
Right, and the same thing for the Build Challenge. We have the Build Challenge taking place in the Museum World as well. And so the K-5 Juneteenth lesson is entitled While We Celebrate. This is our lesson. And the reason we chose this title is because we know that celebrations are a part of the K-5, the elementary curriculum, looking at celebrations across the world and in the United States, the different holidays that we celebrate. And so we wanted students to be able to connect based on Juneteenth being a holiday. At the time, it was a holiday that was acknowledged in the majority of the states within the United States. When we wrote these lessons, it was not a federal holiday. But as of this week, the week of Juneteenth, so actually the week of
It's
Juneteenth,
tomorrow.
which is for us tomorrow, it is now an official federal holiday. So this is so timely. And so, Natasha, you can take us through this. So one of the essential questions that we ask in the elementary lesson is, why is Juneteenth such an important event or celebration within the African American community? And we're talking about in the United States. And one thing that we try to do in this lesson is to get students to make the connections between not only the Juneteenth celebration, but look at some of the celebrations that maybe you and your family have that are either specific to your culture or something that is relevant to your community, and then make those connections and to understand how Juneteenth is celebrated. We also look at the 4th of July. We know that 4th of July in the United States is all about celebrating Independence Day. And a lot of students, they understand that 4th of July is all about the country's independence. 1776, but did you know that we have two Independence Days in the African American community, and Juneteenth is the second Independence Day in the United States. So we try to get students to make a comparison between the 4th of July and Juneteenth, similarities and differences. And so we do some of the work, pre-work, prior to them getting to Minecraft. And then we move on to the Minecraft activity after they've done some of the research about the people, the events, the places that are a part of the historical significance of Juneteenth. Then we have students move to Minecraft, and we are now building a scene, a Juneteenth scene. And I think, Natasha, if you go to the next slide, this is an example of the starter world. And as Natasha said, I'm not an expert either. I do my best, and I know some of you guys, I cannot wait to see the bills that you come up with. But these were just some screenshots of some of the bills in the starter world. So in this lesson, you are tasked with creating a Juneteenth celebration for your town. You have to replicate a Juneteenth celebration in the park, because we know that's where most Juneteenth celebrations take place, in your local community parks, maybe even in your backyard. We have communities celebrating Juneteenth all over the United States this coming weekend. But what I did for this lesson, you often see speakers, so I took evidence. I had evidence of the speaker stage. I had evidence of just the celebration in the park. Also have music. Music is a huge part of Juneteenth celebrations. I even had a music stage. And of course, last but not least, I had a parade. So this is my parade and my sign where the parade will start. So you can be as creative as you want and just make those connections. And this is the While We Celebrate Juneteenth lesson for elementary students.
All right, I had to mute. I am in the building where people are walking by, so I just wanted to make sure that Felisa didn't have any feedback. And I'm going to keep it in presentation mode just to make it a little bit easier to navigate. So the 6 through 12 lesson is called Freedom Day, and this was really important to make sure that middle school and high school students understood and realized why we celebrate and why it's so important. And to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and turn. People were walking by, so I turned my camera off too, just to make sure that everybody understood the importance. And so when we look at essential questions, is what does Juneteenth signify? And so when I get into the actual lesson, you'll kind of see a little bit more about the essential questions and the resources that we've laid out. But there are two different opportunities for students in the Minecraft space, and I say that to say we have supplied external resources as well. So if for some reason students don't have access to Minecraft, or maybe it's limited to school and or home, there's other resources and parts of the lesson plan that we've made available to really make sure that your students feel comfortable with the content and that you feel comfortable as well. So I've just pulled out here the specific Minecraft pieces, but I'll show you what those other resources look like as well. So they're in two worlds. They have two options, in the blocks of grass world or the museum world. So in the blocks of grass world, what students are going to do is create an overhead aerial view of a self-designed book cover that would grab the attention of one of their peers that want to learn more about Juneteenth. And somewhere in there, they should include their research. They can include a book and quill with their research. They can include links to the different resources that they've pulled from as they've done their research on Juneteenth, and really talk about what they've discovered. They could keep a journal. So we've given you kind of the basis of the lesson, but you can definitely expound on it and make it be what you need it to be. So that's what they're going to do in the blocks of grass world, should they choose to do that. Or if they want to dive into the museum world, what we have kind of put together for them is that they're going to create 2 rooms in the museum world. And the museum world is huge. So they kind of walk up these steps into this empty museum, and then they'll create 2 rooms. So in the first room, we want them to create a scene that depicts some kind of celebration that they celebrate or would like to celebrate with their friends and or family. And while they're creating that, you want them to really think about the rituals and traditions that occur during that celebration. And if you have them think, or if you just kind of talk them through thinking about, maybe you want them to close their eyes and think about the sights and the smells and what they touch and taste and feel and what they hear during those celebrations. That's what we want them to build and depict. And we want to make sure it portrays just an accurate representation of that celebration. And again, they can include a board with a description of that celebration or a book and quill as they journal their thoughts about that. And then in the second room, we want them to create either a statue or a monument that depicts how they feel about Juneteenth and how it correlates with the celebrations that they celebrate with their friends or with their families. And again, they should include a board with the name of their monument. So they're going to name their monument, as well as including a description of why they decided to choose that monument. So we are going to dive into the lessons. When you get into the 6 through 12 lesson, this is what it looks like. Actually, it might look a little different now. Like Felisa said, there's been a facelift to the Minecraft education portal. But we are going to dive into the lessons. Felisa, do you want me to share the middle high school lesson first, or do you want to share K5?
I can share K5. Let
Okay.
me go ahead and share my screen.
All right.
All right. And while we're doing that, let me know if it's okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm going to pull up Minecraft, and I am going to share the K5 lesson. I'm going straight to the starter world. I already have it in my world template. So give me just a minute. So here it is. This is the starter world. And when you click on yours will download as the town template. So once I open this up, I'm going to go ahead and select play because I've already started working in this world. I just want to give you a quick walkthrough of the town so that you can see what your students will be doing in the town world as they create their Juneteenth celebration in the park. And it's up to them to have any replication of a Juneteenth celebration, when they can use images to help them as they create their world. One thing that I love about this is truly a town. So there is a lot of green space. And if you see here, I've already created my sign for the Juneteenth celebration in the park. And this is a such good space, this park here. I also want you to see my parade members. They're getting ready for the parade. And if you see, this is where the Juneteenth parade is going to take place. I already have a sign for everyone to line up here. We're going to do a parade around the square. We don't want you to be late, so I want everyone to know where they're going. I also have a few signs here. We're going to have some storytellers here and artists and so much more that are going to give us the history of Juneteenth. And this will be a great way for your students to put their links to their research here so that as people come and tour their world, they can have all of their content here as well. Also, and the reason I'm doing this, you will see a lot of this at your Juneteenth celebrations. There will be speakers there. I have a place right here in the middle of the park. We're going to have Juneteenth speakers here at 12 p.m. And you see my speaker is ready. We have our lectern already. And of course, we have music, always music in the park. So I take advantage of all of this empty space. So I have a music stage right here, my Juneteenth music stage. So I want students to be as creative as you want to be. And this is, Natasha, just an example of just the small things. And I know the students are going to do so much more. So please tag us. I can't wait to see what you do in Juneteenth. Please, in your Juneteenth world. So I'm going to save this and exit. And I am going to stop sharing, Natasha, so that you can share your 612 world.
Felisa, I just commend you because your Minecraft skills every time you share get better and better. You're making me I'm gonna have to up my game now. That's why I love this community, because we push each other to do better and not do better, to be better and grow and all that. So
and so I'm glad you said that. So that's a chance for us to talk to our fellow educators. You do not have to be an expert. You just witnessed that. We are nowhere near Minecraft experts, but that doesn't stop us from trying, because your students are the experts and they will help you. Just give them the opportunity to experience Minecraft.
And that's what Minecraft is, right? Play, craft, and learn. So we're constantly playing, crafting, and learning. So I cannot tell a lie. I actually had my son build my world, and I am not around him right now, so I can't pull it up because it's on my device that's at home. We know that when you're in Minecraft, it's specific to the device that you're on. But what I can do is walk you through the lesson, and I will tweet out pictures of his world because he put so much time and energy into it. He actually built in the museum world, so I had him do the 6 through 12 lesson, and he created 2 rooms, and you like walk up the stairs and you walk down, you got to get on a boat and go down the water, and then you end up, and he actually built our like a replica of our house, which like even the laundry room and the downstairs bathroom, and it's amazing. But he built a Christmas scene. He put all of our family members in the living room for Christmas with the Christmas tree and the presents underneath. It's amazing. So I will tweet out pictures with the hashtag MinecraftEDU so you can see what it looks like, because he put so much energy and effort into it. I may do a screen grab too and put that on Twitter. But what I'm going to do is walk you through there we go, the 6 through 12 lessons. So if you see here, Minecraft Education Portal has gotten a huge facelift, and this is the Juneteenth Freedom Day lesson. You'll see it gives you some preliminary information up here at the top, tells you what your students will learn and about the grade levels and the different kind of skill sets that it covers. And so as you go through these lessons, this is the 612, and then Felisa will show you I don't know if you have it queued up to show, Felisa.
I do.
Okay, the K5 lesson. What we want to encourage you to do is, as you read through this information on the left, consider this like your taste. This is like your taste of what you're going to get. Even though there's a lot of great information here, what we want you to do is come over to the right-hand side and download the full lesson plans, because there's so much more robust information over here in this full lesson plan. So that's where we want to encourage you to go. And let me see. The other day it was still in the process of uploading, so let's see if we can get that to come up. If not, we'll just go through.
A little earlier, and I didn't see the full. I didn't see it there yet.
Okay, so we'll just go through. It says starting. I think I'm going to go ahead and close it just for time's sake. Opening and protected window. Let's give it another 3, 2, 1. Yeah, well, oh, there it is. Oh, okay, good. I caught it. I was hoping I didn't edit it. Close it out. So this is what the full lesson plan looks like. You see you've got links to click on, you've got those activities that we talked about, and just to kind of walk you through this one, I won't read through it word for word, but you've got your title, your description, student ages, subjects, and skills, gives you a brief overview of the lesson plan and those lesson objectives, again with your essential question, and then some guiding ideas and questions as well. We've also included a teacher preparation section, so you can make sure that you have everything that you need. And another thing that this does is allow you to gather all the resources that you need to be able to bring this lesson to your students. These lessons are not something that you could just like wake up in the morning and say, oh, we're going to go over this lesson today. We really want you to spend some time in the content as well so you understand what you're teaching. So we've given you all of that information here, things that you need to get ready. So for example, for the reflection activity, we need you to build something out in Mentimeter. So you have all of that there. We've even given you some ways to differentiate for your students. And then when we get into the activities, we have those whole class activities, small group activities, and individual student activities. And so your whole class activity is here. It talks about, you're going to watch a video that the teacher will pre-select, and we've given you a list of videos to choose from. So we've done all the work for you. For your small group activity, students are going to engage in an edu protocol called Number Mania. And so we've given you the instructions on how to do that. And then for the individual student activity, they're going to take that information from the group activity and make it a little bit more personal as well. So we've given you all of that information. Then we get into those Minecraft activities that we just talked about, and we've even given you some ideas for assessment and reflection, as well as extension activities. Again, performance expectations, book recommendations. You see we found a ton of those for you, as well as YouTube videos, and a ton of additional resources as well. So that's why we say download the full lesson plan, because you won't get all of that right here. There's only a limited amount of characters that we can put here for you. So definitely download that full lesson plan so you can get all of that rich information. Felisa, I'm going to go ahead and let you walk through, here we go, the K through 5 lesson.
Sounds good. All right. So for the K-5 lesson, it is really the same. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you. So as Natasha said, let me hide that. Okay. I want that to disappear. Let's see if I can get it up.
I have to drag your bar down.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. There we go. All right, so here we go. Juneteenth, while we celebrate, it's set up the exact same way. And this is what I was looking for. Look for the Teach with Minecraft. For those of us who are just so comfortable with the old way that the Minecraft site was set up, now you're gonna look for your lessons under Teach with Minecraft, and you're gonna go here to Explore Lessons. But when you find the Juneteenth lesson, we have our learning objectives, as Natasha said. Natasha, I'm just gonna minimize that. We have, there aren't any teacher prep notes here because we kind of posted those in another place, but if you download the full lesson plan, you will see all the teacher prep resources and everything to help you get prepared to teach this lesson. So we start with the essential question, but we then ask some additional probing questions as a way to just get your K-5 students to thinking about holidays. We start with holidays and why do people have celebrations and what type of holidays and traditions are important to you and your family. And then we even ask them, do you have a special holiday that you celebrate? Because we want them to just start thinking about their lives, their personal life with their families and those traditions that are important to them. And then we move on to Juneteenth and asking them about freedom. What is freedom? And what are some of the key people that may be associated with Juneteenth? We ask those questions. We even ask them to delve into their socio-emotional. How would you feel if someone withheld some important news from you that can make your life better? And this is going to, when they get into the research, this relates to the enslaved people, the information being withheld from them for 2 years, that they were actually had been freed 2 years prior. So then we go on to asking them, how is the 4th of July and Juneteenth similar or different? Because we know that they've heard of the 4th of July and the Emancipation Proclamation. So we ask some of those questions. And then we even go take it even further and look at independence around the world. What are other holidays around the world that celebrate independence? Because we know that there are holidays even beyond the United States, because we want these lessons to be impactful, not just within the United States, and because this content is US history content, but there are connections to independence celebrations around the world, or just celebrations that impact people around the world. So then we have our teacher preparation resources. We have videos that we've identified from PBS and what is Juneteenth and why do we celebrate it. So teachers, these resources will help make your life a lot easier. We've done, as Natasha said, we've done the legwork for you. You just look through these and see what will fit best for your students. We've even given you vocabulary that you can pre-teach, from the Emancipation Proclamation to slavery or enslaved, independence, 13th Amendment, Juneteenth, and we've identified some people for you: Abraham Lincoln, Colonel George Granger, and Galveston, Texas. So because we know that this is really the place that Juneteenth initially took place. And we have some read alouds, because I know that read alouds are so important in our elementary classroom. So we've identified 2 read alouds that are really YouTube videos of someone reading these books all about Juneteenth. This will be a great way to bring your students into this conversation. And we have some additional resources for the students. As Natasha said, we have the whole class activities. We have the whole class discussions where we can have students tell us what they already know about some of this topic, or they may know someone who celebrates Juneteenth, or they may even celebrate Juneteenth. So this would be a great way for you to start the conversation in your classroom. And then we dig deeper into the 4th of July so that they can tell us what they know. And this is just a way for us to just dig a little deeper and to get down to that granular level so that they can really see what Juneteenth is and to make that connection to other holidays that we celebrate. And then we move on to our Minecraft activity, as we've already said, and this we've already demonstrated what it does, but they are to build a Juneteenth replica scene and how people celebrate Juneteenth. They can even do a sketch of their world prior to them building their world. They can work individually or collaboratively. It's totally up to you. So there are a lot of creative ways, and we've given some examples of things that they can include if they're unclear on what they need to do. And then we have our assessments. We would love for them to take pictures of their builds, their Juneteenth celebrations with the camera, make notes in their portfolio, or utilize the book and quill, and then have them have a reflection activity, a Juneteenth reflection activity that they can do in Flipgrid. Wonderlopolis, I can't even say it, Natasha, has a great Flipgrid resource, Juneteenth resource that you could utilize and have your students reflect on that. So that's another great way that you can incorporate some of these external resources. And we've given you some other additional things that you can move beyond as extension activities. So that is the elementary lesson. Natasha, I will stop sharing there and we can go back to the actual presentation because I think we're close to the end.
Yeah. So the last thing just to share with you really quick is the build challenge. And so with the build challenge, your students, there we go, are going to illustrate important events. And actually I should be in presentation mode, so that's a little smaller. Let's see, they're going to research Juneteenth and illustrate important events, people, and places. And they will build this in the museum world. And so what we want them to...
And because they're doing that because they have been hired as a museum curator for the newly created Juneteenth Museum that is opening this month, June 2021. And so as a museum curator, you're going to have to pull a lot of different resources and content so that you can have your museum filled with artifacts that commemorate Juneteenth.
Absolutely. And so they'll curate those and create that in the museum world as well. So your students, if they're 6 through 12, could end up with a whole museum in there based on the lesson and the build challenge. So lots of great opportunities for that. Felisa, do you want to talk about this one?
Okay, so once again, these are my baby step uh, Minecraft builds, but within the museum world, I took a picture of myself in front of the museum, the Juneteenth Museum, and I have my sign welcoming everyone to the museum. And then inside the museum, as I entered, I was in the beginning phase of creating the Juneteenth flag. I didn't finish by putting the star, but that's my initial build of my flag as one of the artifacts for my Juneteenth museum. And so students can come up with all types of creative resources and artifacts to put in their museum.
And if you're not familiar, this is the camera option or the camera feature inside of Minecraft. And I love how it puts it like in a little Polaroid so that your students can then share those out. So make sure your students are taking pictures and that they're tweeting and that you're tweeting.
And those are your assessments, your in-game assessments that students can use. And they can even do a screen recording while they're going through. They can walk through their thought process of what they're building and do the actual recording and upload that recording. Or they could use a shorts camera and Flipgrid to do their recording. So many creative things that they can use to record and their knowledge of Juneteenth and what they're doing.
Absolutely. So your students' next steps are for you to dive in. That's your next step. And then for your students to explore the lessons and the build challenge that we have available for them.
And so we thank you so much for joining us. Please connect with us on Twitter. I'm at APSIT Felisa.
And I'm at APSIT Natasha.
Also, make sure you tag at PlayCraftLearn, #MinecraftEDU. We would love to see your Juneteenth builds, your Juneteenth lessons. Just take pictures. Can't wait to see what you do with these Juneteenth lessons. And last but not least, we want to say happy Juneteenth to everyone. Enjoy, celebrate, empower.
Yes, and thank you so much for your time today.